Good evening. Tonight is the fifth or sixth time I've stood and spoken before the school committee, superintendent, and sometimes the assistant superintendent since last October. My concern and suspicion then was that our kids were being exposed to the tenets and pillars of critical race theory while attending Westerly public schools. In the last 10 months, I have, without doubt, proven this to be the case. For the record, I have told the truth every single day since this all began last year. I also find it curious and alarming that the WTA president, at the request of our superintendent, would email teachers asking them to email the school committee or speak this evening against the resolution. What is it in the resolution that your superintendent and our union president find so disagreeable? From a sophomore ELA class, which teaches our kids about white power and privilege and oppression and how to demonstrate for social justice, to an early elementary conflict resolution lesson called I Want the Ball, to the Read Across Rhode Island Jason Reynolds Ibram Kendi book Stamped, to the shaming and belittling of our teachers during mandated implicit bias training. Westerly Public Schools, like many school districts in Rhode Island and around the country, has fallen victim to the woke, hard left, seemingly abandoning and forgetting about all of this country's great qualities in favor of ripping apart the very fiber of our country in the interest of artificially engineered, equitable outcomes, or, as the buzzword said, culturally responsive teaching. Equality of opportunity, which we are all guaranteed by law, does not necessarily translate into equitable outcome. All kids are different, achieve differently, for myriad reasons. It is not because of racial discrimination. As a white person, what rights do I have that people of color do not? What may I do that a person of color may not? The answer is nothing. We have great teachers, as I've said time and time and time again, the vast majority of whom take wonderful care of our kids and do an excellent job teaching them. However, we also have at least 3 that I know of that are not so great and whom I do not support. One purports her views to be those of the district. In Westerly Public Schools anti-racism policies and practices, Google survey, using taxpayer means in order to get her radical and baseless message out. 2 others, social studies teachers at the middle and high schools, have singled out, demeaned, disciplined, and silenced students who differ with them politically. This is wrong, and I will fight this as long as I am breathing. Everyone in this room knows who these teachers are. Their names are in my APRA request, filed by Judicial Watch, the nation's largest public records litigator, on my behalf. These teachers should be fired immediately. These incidents have been continually denied by your superintendent, even though we know that meetings between these teachers, parents, and school leadership have occurred. This, combined with the superintendent seeking to charge me $9,300 for the above APRA request, demonstrates the length to which he will go to hide and cover up unsavory things occurring in this district. No matter how this turns out tonight, our fight for our kids and our good teachers will continue. As I've stated before, America has a history filled with good things and bad things, but it is a history, a true history, which must be confronted head-on and learned from. And we have. This country has evolved into the most generous and charitable country on the face of the earth. We learn from our history so as not to repeat it. And this is a continuous process. One cannot juxtapose incidents which occurred 150 or 200 years ago under the mores and customs of those times with events of today and draw comparisons. It's apples and oranges. In order for history to be understood properly, it must be viewed through the lens of the time in which it occurred. It must be contextualized. I know one thing: this country, warts and all, is still the greatest country in the world. If not, why are over 6,000 illegal immigrants crossing our southern border every day and risking their lives to come here? Critical race theory removes hard work, determination, grit, and accountability as reasons for a person's success or failure, and replaces them with one immutable characteristic: race. In effect, it says, when a white person succeeds, it is because he or she is privileged, that success was not earned. When a person of color fails, it is because of a racist system and racist white people. It tells a person of color that he or she cannot achieve excellence without an outcome being engineered for them. We know this is not true. We have heard people tonight. It's insulting. Ask the millions of hard-working, successful people of color how they feel about this. Proponents of critical race theory don't seek these people out because they blow their narrative to pieces. Tonight, you 6 people will decide what kind of Westerly you want. After tonight is over, we will know if our schools and our town will be steamrolled by Angelica Infante Green's critical race theory-laden curriculum, which will teach our kids to be ashamed of their skin color if they're white, because they are oppressors. It will teach them to hate themselves. Rather than bring kids of all colors together, it will drive them apart and teach them to hate one another. It will teach kids of color that they don't have what it takes to succeed unless an equitable outcome is engineered for them. And make no mistake, it will teach all kids to hate this country. Our kids, as well as our good teachers, will be viewed and used as nothing more than a means to an end by the hard left, which includes the NEA and AFT, who both support the teaching of critical race theory in schools and all teacher union leadership. The head of the WTA cares more about protecting 3 rogue teachers than she does about the hundreds of good teachers she supposedly represents. More than the 2,724 kids in this district, and certainly more than the parents of these kids, as she stated publicly. You can also decide to do the courageous and right thing, to pass this resolution before you and opt out of Education Commissioner's critical race theory-laden curriculum, which is being rammed down our throats because of Senate Bill 0863, passed in 2019, which basically took away all school committee curriculum approval responsibilities and ceded them to the state. State and federal monies may be withheld if you don't go with Infante Green's curriculum. Don't do it for the money. Do it for our kids, about whom you claim to care so much.